If you would like to learn how to make 40k armies or other wargames, here we are going to teach you how to make awesome looking armies, how to make your army look more interesting and fun to play. I spent thousands of hours crafting hundreds of armies, and I would like to share with you what I learned along the way. This is Maybach Game Studio. I am Chris, and welcome to Crafting Army Suits. Always amazing, always amazing. Introduction. Jan Pita is an old friend of mine who requested an army commission. He's a member of Ramscheid wargaming community. This is a city located in western Germany, and I've been there multiple times, having fantastic time with guys, and Willem as my host. We played so many old school Warhammer games like Necromunda, Mordheim, Battlefield Gothic. We get started by doing an army list. I suggested some tricks that make sense to create a decent army list that have, proper composition, but it was the Jan Pita who picked models that he liked the most. And these key features were: if it seems angry or stubborn, unyielding, badass, with honey badger's emblem on the left shoulder part. This was his request. And as a follow-up, additional colors were listed. He named white color and black color to provide contrast, similar to this crazy animal that you see. And gray color as a main body, blue eyes, orange, to make sure if I understand the preference for the color schemes or overall aesthetic style. I picked 3 photos from other artists that, in my opinion, differs a lot, not so in terms of colors, but in the approach to the painting process. So this is cleaner version, more grim tone version, and weather version. So there were 3 versions, and Jan picked the clean one with high contrast. So this was our point of reference to pick the right painting method for the army to be perceived well and also enjoyed for the owner. At least from my experience, people tend to differ a lot when it comes to contrast. So as a rule of thumb, I perceive customers as one who likes cartoony version, grim dark version, or militaristic in terms of a lot of weathering and true metal metallic and stuff like that. And also something in the middle. So if you want your army to have high contrast while not being too flashy, too cartoony, this is also something that we call grim tone. This is the point of reference. I gathered all of these notes and provided them to my teammates. I left them alone, and this is what happened.
Chodź. No nie. Robimy tak. Niebieski, bo robić kulturę.
Co wy robicie? Czy to jest moodboard do honey badgersów?
No tak.
Popatrz. biały, czarny.
Co to kurwa jest?
Buty z tymi dwoma, to takie niebieskawe, on jest na pustyni, jest cały ujebany beżowym. Gdzie ty widzisz niebieski pan? Przecież to wygląda jak Space War.
Rzeczywiście.
Co teraz? Ogarnijcie to, bo no sorry.
Jesteś tacy, wiesz, lekko kurwa mać, nie? Dim dum 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 dim dum.
The adept Matthew has prepared the mood board. It is insufficient. It requires correction.
The concept stage. I take my project seriously, and I know that I could be softer, but in this case, it's not only about splashing colors into your miniatures. We put a lot of thought into design, into how to execute great ideas. And this effort takes time, takes attempts.
Blue upon grey yields the likeness of a space wolf. The badger's word is dust and ash. Warmer, lighter hues must be applied to the armor in its honor.
The concept phase is important to reduce the amount of data, to prepare cohesive vision of how to execute a prototype. In this case, we focused on several details. First of all, the idea is to make a chapter resemble honey badger animal. So this contrast of black and white elements that you can see on a backpack or on the helmet, these are small little things, but it makes this whole vision comes as a unified piece. Also, I used custom Angry Marines helmets. I think they were sculpted by.
Classified. Access denied.
They have this angry appearance, bigger eyeballs. And as Jan requested, also there is the main color, like gray armor, but after some troubles, we changed it from bluish gray to more warmer gray tones or stone-like gray tones. It's difficult for me to describe, but you can see it right here. I focused on parts of the models that represents toughness, stubbornness. It's like a shield for Terminators, big dozer blade for Vindicator, and additional upgrade kit for Dreadnought to resemble old school cube-like Dreadnoughts. This kit was made by Icarus Pattern. At first, we have this vision of orange as a main object light source and blue as a secondary, but we swapped it. So we kept blue eyes and blue plasma cannons, for example, and other bigger surfaces, while keeping orange for lenses and some other optics. To tyle. Wait. And now there will be a section where Mary and Matti are doing a prototype. This is the key element of the process, where you started from overall idea, mood board, narrowed it down to make concept stage to pick most important features, and now the guys will be doing the sample.
Usually we use oil paints to blend armors because it's the fastest way, right?
Zaczęłam dodawać delikatnie biały olej, jednak było tylko gorzej i wciąż za dużo światła. Okazuje się, że less is more, więc ostatecznie jedynie rozblendowałam białe krawędzie, co pozwoliło odpowiednio wyważyć biel i szarość.
Ogólnie to przykro mi, że wychodzi na to, że Mary nie ma nic do malowania w badgerach, ale może z tym damy radę coś zrobić. Okej, Nikola, to tutaj jest pudełko badgerów i musisz zrobić na szaro z paskami i czarno-białe, nie?
Wreszcie coś na olej. Duże płyty pancerza, na przykład dreadnought czy czołgi, są idealne pod technikę olejną, która umożliwia szybki, łatwy blending większych partii. Mały pędzel pozwala mi tutaj na precyzyjne uzyskanie wysokiego kontrastu, a duży pędzel jest najlepszy do miękkiego i stonowanego. Do dobrania kolorów chcieliśmy podejść klasycznie, skoro zdecydowaliśmy się na żółte, ciepłe paski oraz ciepłe światła lamp, to pancerz chcieliśmy skontrastować i zrobić w chłodnej tonacji szarości. Kontrast można zbudować jasnością, kolorem lub właśnie temperaturą. Pamiętajcie, że zazwyczaj nie potrzeba całego zestawu drogich farb olejnych. W przypadku zdecydowanej większości armii wystarczy 1-2 kolory dobrej jakości. I w przypadku Honey Badgers użyłam wyłącznie bieli i czerni. Z nich uzyskałam pożądaną skalę szarości.
Musieliśmy wrócić do początku. Kim właściwie jest Honey Badger? To zwierzę teoretycznie jest czarno-białe, ale w praktyce widać na nim dużo brudu i szarości. I to właśnie ten aspekt chcieliśmy zawrzeć w szarym pancerzu. Dużo bardziej skupić się na ogólnym feelingu armii niż na technicznym doborze kolorów. Z tą armią od początku miałem duży problem z jednym aspektem, czy raczej dwoma. Szarym i białym, bo szary cały czas wyglądał mi jak ciemniejszy, nierozjaśniony biały, a biały wyglądał mi jak niewycieniowany szary. I cały czas próbowaliśmy dojść do tego, to nie to, że cały czas próbowaliśmy, to ja próbowałem dojść do tego, jak to naprawić i ostatecznie okazało się, że po prostu trzeba nie malować tak dokładnie szarego. I dzięki temu biały wyglądał już inaczej.
Okazuje się, że less is more.
Adept Matthew failed to account for a fundamental truth. Highlights cannot be applied to white. Addition of darker tones to white yields gray. White is to remain pure. A deeper analysis of the white color spectrum is acquired in the next campaign.
Honey badgers travel widely, marking routes with scent and memory. They switch between digging, walking, and climbing without pause.
For this project, I used bases that are resculpted, Urban Wasteland A, and the reason why I did resculpt is that over hours for last 1 year I've been learning how to sculpt and doing various releases of bases for Patreon, and as I learned a lot of new tricks, I wanted the bases to be very good to paint, very easy to paint, that looks great. There are many sharp edges and rough texture. This makes your dry brush and many other techniques much easier to apply. Also, they are very light, they have hollowed structure, and they are much lighter than basically any other bases that I saw at the market, and also lighter than most toppers that I found. They are easy to print, they have solid internal structure that prevents from bending. If you look at the edge of the base, they have properly sculpted details. They are not this simple cut of the base. Many sculptures, I also did it a few times in the past, just, cut. It makes the sculpting process much easier, but simply the bases look worse. Front view of the model. I adjusted size, especially for oval-sized bases to match common gaming system. Those bases and many more, they will be part of our Kickstarter campaign that we are going to run very soon. And remember, you don't need thousands of STLs. You need good ones.
Bellissimo.
Or hold your horses, or you can get them as physical too. Matthew prepared a tutorial how to paint these fantastic honey badger bases, and what is more, he made them in a very simple fashion that is easy to learn. So you could pick similar paints and introduce same techniques for your army. Fast, easy, looking great. Okay, so that's all about bases. Let's get going to the crease conversion corner. Crease conversion corner. Old school means square. Square. This is square. This is dreadnought. This is 40K. Very specific aesthetic. And this, it looks kind of okay, but don't get me wrong, this looks like generic robot sci-fi thingy. Nothing special about it. This is old school. And Icarus Pattern made this awesome kit that makes your Redemptor look like proper dreadnought. And as we were talking about angry, stubborn, tough Marines, this is your dreadnought, or Jans in this case. As a successor chapter of the angry Marines, we put tough models with big weapons, big plasma guns, and shields. Shields are sculpted by, I think, Lord Chamnon. They are originally inspired by Iron Warrior aesthetic. I also use this Mark II Land Rider kit with this inbuilt sponsons, together with this bulldozer shield with hazardous stripes. I try to feel this way of thinking. So if I ask for reference and I ask which models you like, I try to imagine what drives you into these preferences. So when we are talking about old school, my main assumption is that old school means heavy, square-like, and this is the perspective in which I judge if I like a model or not. In other circumstances, I may like flying tanks. Oh, and Angry Marines helmets.
Classified. Access denied.
This is my personal best sculptor recently, because in the Wordbearers project, I also use his helmet for those fantastic chosen. And see you in the next episode of Crafting Armies series, Wordbearers.